there's enormous evidence that that's where this began. We've said from the beginning that this was a virus that originated in Wuhan, China. We took a lot of grief for that from the outset, but I think the whole world can see now. Remember, China has a history of infecting the world, and they have a history of running substandard laboratories.
Secretary of State there on ABC this morning, and we are learning more about China's attempts to exploit the coronavirus and the ensuing economic crisis for its own political and economic good. There are new concerns over China using its cash reserves to buy distressed U.S. companies. Republican Tennessee Congressman Mark Green has a couple of bills in Congress that he says will stop China. Also a member of both the House Oversight Committee and House Homeland Security Committee. I guess you guys actually would have to come back in session in the House to consider either of these two bills, but tell us about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Leland, for having me on your show. And it's really surprising, or well, maybe it's not surprising, considering that China bought last year $13 billion worth of EU companies and $25 billion worth of U.S. companies. But just this last month, April the 7th, Bloomberg came out with an article that showed that Chinese state-owned enterprises are intentionally buying up national security-oriented companies. There are great examples out there. They just bought 22 planes from United and are leasing them back to them. And these are infrastructure-based, economic-based, and national security-based companies that they're buying. So what we want to do is to try to create investment guarantees for American investors who will then buy these companies and prevent the Chinese from getting them. You know, I don't want to name specific companies and give the Chinese a clue that this particular company is the one they should be buying, but there are plenty that we're aware of.
The idea makes sense. Hard to imagine they're going to do too well on that plane investment, but we'll see, at least right now. United seems to be in a little bit of a difficult place, but the point's well made. Brings up sort of the secondary question, though. For all the tough talk about China from you and Tom Cotton and others, does China have us by the tail? We're having to beg for ventilators and PPE and everything else. So does it make it so any of these bills, as well-intentioned as they might be, are non-starters because the president can't afford to sign them and irritate the Chinese?
Well, in the go forward, the bill that creates the investment guarantee prevents them from acquiring other technologies that are defense related. But I have a second bill that actually works to move manufacturing from China back to the United States. So you take those examples of PPE where they're holding up shipments to the United States after collecting money on purchases.
I'll understand what the bills will do, Congressman, but I guess the question is, can the president afford to sign these and undoubtedly irritate the Chinese, which it will do if they become law, with the Chinese having the companies you talked about being the only place right now we can get PPE, the only place right now we can get ventilators?
Yeah, it's even worse than that. You look at some of the medications, I mean, most aspirin's made in China. Penicillin, other drugs, the precursors of which are made in China. So we do have to act, we have to do something, but at the same time, we can't let them hold us over a barrel. That's essentially what they're doing with Australia. The Australians asked for an investigation into the Wuhan
virus. So I guess
virus.
the question is, do they have us over a barrel, or do we have time?
Well, clearly we need to act now.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I'll tell you something. Somebody who also acted right now was your son Mitchell down in Ranger School.
Yeah.
Made it all the way through. We've got a video of you pinning the Ranger tab on him there. Boy, what a special moment that was, considering it's the same Ranger tab you received 30 years ago.
Yeah, 33 years ago, I graduated from Class 587, and Colonel Jim George, a Vietnam veteran with a Silver Star from an ambush in Vietnam, pinned that tab on me, and then I got to pin it on my son as he graduated Class 5-20. It was a pretty special moment for our family. And all Rangers, you know, every person who's gone through that school and earned that Ranger tab deserves the utmost respect we can give them, and it's just an honor to be able to do that for my son now.
Well, a big congratulations to you and to him, and hopefully he's going to get a couple of weeks at home getting some good cooking, because it looks like he could use a few pounds back on.
Yeah, he's in quarantine now, though, unfortunately.
All right, well, we'll talk to you when he gets back. Good to see you, sir. We appreciate it.
Good to see you, Leland. Take care.